Hey, go-getters. How are you today? I'm so excited to have with me today Roland Benson. He is a friend of mine, actually part of my Super Accelerator group. We have been working together for, like at least about a year now, right? Would
Yeah,
you say?
about a year. Yeah.
hmm in a mastermind. And so I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things that he knows. And I've been working with him for a year, listening to his advice and so on. So I wanted to bring him to you because I think that right now, especially, his message is extremely important for where we're at as business owners. So if you are like a business owner, like I am, or you're just running like your company and maybe you're just a key employee in a company and you need to make sure that your company stays afloat, this is going to be a great message for you today. So Roland, I'm really like fascinated by your story and how you are. So let's just start by saying that Roland is from San Antonio, which is where
Yeah.
I was before I was in Houston, which is it's kind of cool. And he has been in business a very long time doing marketing and web design and PR and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So we are in the same field basically. So we're very
Exactly.
excited to meet each other in that way. Tell us a little bit about like your story and how you came to be like running this great business in San Antonio.
Okay. Well, we started our firm in 1985, so 35 years ago. See, I was on a podcast the other day, and they said that I was the oldest living ad agency he had ever met. So I don't know if that's a compliment or a punishment, but it was kind
Could
of
be
funny.
both.
Yeah, exactly. So what I've been working with my customers a lot on is pivoting. And I noticed when I was 12 years old, I had to pivot. I didn't really realize it was pivoting until this all happened. But I was very dyslexic growing up, and my dad had a large construction company, and this was in the 70s, so no answering machines, and he had six boys, and I think he had six boys, and so that we could be the remote control, the vacuum cleaner, and the answer machine. So I was the answering machine for some reason because I was the oldest, and so we'd get calls at the house, and I'd answer the phone, and this man called one day, and he said, "I need to leave a message for your dad," and I said, "Well, he's." I'm thinking to myself, I can't even spell my own name, but I didn't say that out loud. So I had to really think
Mhm.
quick, what am I going to do? So I started illustrating everything the guy said. So I illustrated everything out. And then another guy would call in and illustrate his, and then another person would illustrate them. My dad would come home every night, and I go through these storyboards with him and show them to him. And so I started everything that I did after that in school and everything. I started taking notes with the illustrations, and I didn't realize that was going to set me up for what I'm doing today because I
No
had no
kidding.
idea. Yeah, I had no idea what a marketer was. I didn't know what a graphic designer was. And in fact, I'd even
I
when I
don't even
got
I don't even think that really well it existed, but like not the way it exists now, for
here,
sure.
exactly,
Mm-mm.
exactly, yeah, not at all, not. And in fact, I didn't even know I didn't go to school. I went to one semester of school and figured out a college, and I barely made it through high school. I didn't know what I was thinking about college, but met my wife, and then I decided that was enough for me. That was, I guess, the reason I was supposed to go. So once I got out, I met a guy, and he said, "We're going to make you a millionaire." And I said, "Oh, that sounds great. That's what I've always wanted, like everybody else." So for about 2 years, 3 years, we chased around the United States, lived in all different places, then ended up in San Antonio. And they said, "We're going to be a millionaire. We're going somewhere else." And we said, "We're going to stay here." So that was almost 40 years ago, and we started building our business here. And
That's
how I got,
crazy.
yeah, how I got started. One guy just said to me, he's because I was complaining to him about all these businesses I'd worked for, and he said, "You should just shut up and start your own business because I'm tired of hear about all this failure." And I said, "Well, what would I do?" And he says, "You're always drawing pictures. Why don't you sell those door to door?" And I went, "Who's going to buy a picture?" And he said, "I need a ceiling fan drawn for my business." And I said, "Well, what would you pay me?" He said, "I'll pay you $25." And he said, "Wow, $25, that's good." So I ran back to the apartment, drew it for him, gave it to him. He gave me $25. He said, "Now go out and knock doors." And that was 35 years ago. And so I just got taught as I went through. I met a guy who had a computer, an Apple SE30, the little square ones.
Oh, I had
And
one of those too. Actually, I did advertising for my college newspaper on one of those.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got that. And he said, "You can work on it at nights when I'm not here if you let me sit in the little corner of your office." And so I would come in at 5:30, and I would work until like 3 in the morning and just learn how to do it. And then I taught myself how to do that. And I taught myself how to do all this stuff. But it was all started with that pivoting about the illustrations and
The
thinking,
drawing.
the
Yeah.
drawings. So that's what we really have to do now is really pivot how we
Well,
pivot.
and I was just thinking about that. So let's just unpacking what you just said, which I think is really interesting, is that number one, we need to prepare for things that don't even exist yet, for jobs and opportunities that don't even exist yet. That was number one
Right.
that I heard. Number two thing that I heard was that sometimes our failures or our what we perceive as our weaknesses can be a strength moving forward if we use them in a different way than we intended, than they were
Exactly.
intended, right? So that was number two that I heard. And number three that I heard was really around having that go-getting, I guess I call it mindset. I know a lot of people hate to call mindset, but that overcoming mindset that says, I'm just going to push through this and continue trying things and kind of educating myself and becoming better at things. So those three things kind of, I think that those are really good ones to start talking about, because I know you have some things to say about all of those. So could you
Sure.
kind of, let's start with the idea of pivoting. So what right now, I think a lot of people are pivoting. I have some good examples. One of the ones I saw that was really cool that you would have loved was this honey farming couple. They make all of their money. They farm their honey, during the year. They package it up, bottle it up, and then they go city to city to city to all these farmers, like market kind of
Market. Yeah.
like big, but more the bigger gatherings of them. And they sell like a bulk of what they sell is at those farmers markets. And well, guess what? COVID-19 means no farmers markets this year. They've all been canceled. So they didn't just sit back and go, oh my gosh, we're going to fail and apply for government funding, although they may have done that too, which they should, because you can apply for all that, which you should.
Right.
But what they did instead is they told their story, Roland, and then they offered their honey as a box. Those like you can buy a box that comes every month,
Like a birch box, or
like a
pet
birch box or something.
Yeah.
And they're going to do like 4 boxes. And they just started going for it. They didn't have a real web page for it. They sent out a PDF to me through Messenger on Facebook. So anybody
Wow.
that commented on their Facebook page, because it got shared a lot, and I think they were maybe running some ads to it, and maybe not. I don't know. It might have been word of mouth, but they followed up with every person who commented or liked or anything and said, hey, if you're interested in the box deal, here it is. Here's the details. And they sent us like a PDF that we could download and look and see what the offer was, and then you could buy it. So I thought that was just really, really brilliant on their part, that they just pivoted to like, they're not digital. I mean, they do have a website, but when you go to their website, this offer isn't even on it. I mean,
Wow.
it's like, they're just going for it, to see if they can't make this thing happen. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And that's going to change everything for them, because they might not have to go to half the fairs they were before and double their sales, because now they're doing it digital. And if they don't want to, once they start having a family or all that, it's hard to get out there and travel.
They have a little one. They have a 4-year-old. They took him everywhere with them last year when he was a baby, and he was in the stroller. So it was hard.
When he's 18, he's not going to want to go to the farmers markets.
No.
I know with my kids at 12, they didn't want to go anywhere unless it was like, to play video games.
Yeah.
We have a local gym here in San Antonio, and what they've been doing, in the little town out in Bernie that I live in, and they have a big spin class, a huge following. So what they've been doing is delivering the bikes to their customers' homes.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, and they rent the bikes just like they would pay for their normal session, and then he gets online and spins with them. So you keep spinning, but now instead of him sitting there with all these bikes sitting there, getting fat, everybody's keeping going.
Okay, I love that idea.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one. That's a new one to me, because I've heard about them teaching online and stuff like that.
Sure.
But this is like another twist. See, I think the ingenuity that comes out of this is going to be really, really interesting, because you could ultimately rent those bikes out to people, and as part of their bike rental, they get the spin class or something like that, and you're not sitting there with all this inventory of stuff that's doing nothing. I think about these gyms with like, how are we going to get back to them and everybody touching the same surfaces? And I don't know.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be. I mean, there's so many times I can't even get to the gym because I'm getting out of here at midnight and I'm so tired. But if I went home, I have a gym in my home, so I'll work out there. But it'd be nice to have someone pushing me. So there's already some online apps and stuff like that. But I think people can now. I think it'll open a whole new business for him. Jimmy John's has started selling bread and delivering it. So they sell it for $2 a loaf. It costs them about 15 cents to make. And so now, even after, I'll bet people will say, well, deliver a sandwich, deliver a couple of loaves of bread, and then I don't have to go to the grocery store or something like that. So that's opened up. What I saw last night was Hilton DoubleTree. When you go to the DoubleTree, you get those chocolate chip cookies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I eat about 20 of them, and people are
Yeah.
calling them and going, travelers are going, I'm jonesing for those things. So they put the recipe out there and said, here's how you make it at home with your family, instead of going, well, instead of just saying, well, nothing you can do about it. I'm sure they didn't want to become a cookie company. So they just turned around and said, here's the recipe. You guys knock yourself out. And so that shows them giving, and makes you, and I felt warmer to them than I had, I never even thought of them before, besides,
Besides when you heard about the cookies, you're
exactly.
like, oh yeah,
and then when the cookies
are
I
good.
remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that. And my wife says, write down that recipe. Give me that recipe. I want to, because we love.
No kidding.
Cookies.
I want that recipe. You have to send me that link right now.
Yeah,
You have to send me that link.
It's got lemon juice in it. I would never thought of that.
I'm usually the one that sends out all the links, so it's your turn.
Oh, that's right, you are. But so what I've really noticed is we've really got to look, and that with the dyslexia, and I had major depression too. Probably 85% of my life I had anxiety and depression. And this kind of gross, but I used to throw up 6 times a day. Every time I would go to a meeting, there's a lot of dead bushes around San Antonio for me, throwing up on them because I was so nervous to go in there. And so I had a coach, and she said, if you're going to grow a big business, it's going to be hard if you can't even talk to people. So what she had me do is she had me pick the biggest place that I could go to, and wanted me to use that as my training ground. So I took North Star Mall at the time. It was the biggest place. So she said, I want you to go there for 2 hours a day for a week, and I want you to say hi to as many people as you can.
Ooh,
so I went.
Yeah,
it was hard. I had to wear like toilet paper rolls underneath my arm, and I'd go, hi, 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 hi. And I did that for 2 hours. And I came back after a week, and I called my coach. I said, okay, I did it, but I don't know what that was supposed to do. She said, okay, now for the next week, for 2 hours a day, I want you to go up and ask what time it is. So this was before the cell phone. So, they had to watch. I said, what time is it? 10:01. What time is it? 10:02. What time is 10:03? So I'd ask that for a week. So I know from one end of the mall to the other, every minute, how long it takes to walk that mall. And then I was going, wow, this is not that big a deal. And, I'm tired of it, and it's just stupid. And then I called her, and she says, now I want you to go for 2 hours a day for a week and talk to everybody. So I just started walking up to people, and I said, hey, where's Macy's? Oh, it's down there. Where did you get that pretzel? Over there. What? Hey, man, those shoes, did you get them here? And then now my goal is to talk to everybody on earth. And so that broke that, and I haven't had that problem since that. But I had to take that problem and pivot it into something different and overcome it. So I had to take my mental state or my mindset and just up it. Now, where my level used to be here all the time, now it's always going to be here. Now, if I get up here, sometimes I'll come here, but I'll never go down here again.
Right. It puts a floor on it that's manageable, because not being able to go in and do a sales call, if you're in a business like we have, is almost basically impossible. So you have to be able to talk to people. I love that. And I love that you did that. I actually heard about somebody doing something similar where they actually went out to get 100 no's, I think it was. That was the challenge. Like, they were afraid of being told no. They were afraid of rejection. And so the task was to ask outlandish questions that people would definitely say no to. And it was surprising how many people said yes to some of those that they thought were outlandish anyway. But like, hey, like, Roland, bake me some cookies and mail them to me.
Okay. Yeah, you won't want my cookies.
No. I mean, have your wife bake me some of those awesome cookies in that recipe, and just send me a couple. Mail them to me. Would you do that for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said yes. See, I would think that would be a no.
That's exactly right. I have to try that one, but I've been just really going out and putting myself way out. When I go to the grocery store, it might take me 3 hours, because I know the managers now. I know everybody at HEB.
From 6 foot away, right? You're keeping your
6
distance.
foot away, yeah. But I talk to everybody. Right. I mean, so I've only had 2 people kind of get upset with me, but that's their problem. I don't care anymore. But that's opened so much freedom for me. It's doubled my business. It's just done so many things. So what I would say is, you need to look at your life and your business and find out where you have holes, and start figuring out how you're going to fill them. And if you can't, like, there's some things I can't do, and so my wife can do them. So we've been married so long, we've kind of meshed together on who does what. We don't even ask anymore. We know, okay, Roland doesn't like to do that. Tammy doesn't like to do that. So let's Roland will do that, and Tammy will
Well,
do
and
that.
Tammy is actually part of your business too, which
Yeah.
is kind of cool.
Yeah. In fact, what was funny is when she came to work for me, well, she'd always kind of worked for us over the 35 years, but we had 4 kids, so we had to raise them. And so once kids were gone, then she came to work full time. I said, Tammy, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to do sales. And I said, no one wants to do sales.
She
You're a
did.
freaking house. I mean, now this sounds bad. I said, you're just a housewife. Sorry, I got a black eye over that one.
Should.
What do you know about sales? And she says, how hard can it be? And I said, okay. So she gets on the phone and starts doing cold calls and start calling people. So we go to a meeting, and I'm supposed to be the superstar. We walk in there, they run up to Tammy. She'd never met her, give her a hug. Oh, Tammy, how you doing? So glad to finally meet you. Who's this? I said, who's this? This is me. I'm the one that's in charge of, So it was crazy how she's just been able to flip everything around. And because she talks to people, and I would go over there, you can't ask them how their husband's doing and stuff, but she just sells. I mean, she asks how their kids are doing, the soccer games. And so she's built a great relationships with our clients. And so and she didn't know what she didn't know. If she would have known what she needed to know, she would have probably froze and not done a good job. So,
well, and that's just another mindset thing too, is that we also like limit ourselves, like what we can do even right now. So I think one of the concerns right now people have is like lots of people are losing their jobs.
yeah.
I don't want to ask them for money or like be too salesy or anything like that. And so I think there's some sensitivity, I guess, to the marketplace, even from people that maybe normally would be fine with selling.
Right.
What do you say about that?
Well, what we've been doing is we've been calling every one of our clients and seeing how we can serve them. I said, I'm not here to sell anything. I want to do a brainstorming meeting with you. And I want to sit down and let's figure out what we can do. How can we pivot your business? And we've come up with some great ideas for people. And then I did my first call. And I just started inviting people and giving everything away. I do my next one Wednesday, 10:30.
Yep.
And I've had a couple of people call me and go, wow, we really need to start doing that. Why don't we start talking now? Because I'm saying we're coming out of this. This is going to end someday. It's not the end of the world. So what are we doing to position ourselves once we come out of this to do that?
Yeah, and one of the things I'm doing are these live streams, a couple of times a week. Well, I started every day, and then starting this last week, I started doing twice a week. But it's been interesting because I've had several clients come out of the woodwork and say, "Hey, we've been thinking about this or that," and I've signed like 3 contracts in the last 2 weeks. Just by serving people, talking to them, asking to help. Half of my business is travel and tourism. So that half is really in trouble, but we continue to talk to them and give them ideas and let them know what we're knowing. And we're just keeping in touch. And believe me, when it opens back up, people are going to go places and want to see things. And so that piece of our business will open back up too. Same thing with healthcare. We have healthcare clients, and that actually has been good because we haven't lost them immediately, obviously, because they need us to like do what we do for them. But the other part of it is they're very busy. So finding ways to serve them and understanding where they're coming from. And I reached out to one of my healthcare clients and said, hey, our contract says this, but maybe we need to pivot the contract. So that was another pivot, they've already paid me. Actually, they paid me in advance. So I have their money. So I'm like, how can we use that money to serve you in a way that actually works for you right now? And so that was another way to go with that. So I feel like there's lots of little ways and big ways to pivot.
Oh yeah. I was listening to Jesse Itzler. He's the one that his wife's, he's better known for his wife than him, but he's made millions and millions of dollars, but his wife's the one that started Spanx.
Yes.
And he's been sending spoons out for lunch meetings, spoons and forks and knives. He sends them to people and say, hey, let's have a lunch. You get your lunch, and then we'll sit and do it over Zoom.
Good idea.
And so he's been, you just have to think about how to be creative in this way instead of shrinking. It's not a time to go dark. And so many people, I have a dentist that we're meeting with tomorrow that he just went totally dark. He canceled all his social media with us, everything, shut his office completely down. And I think he's in a fetal position somewhere because he's just barely starting. And he needs our help. And so I told him, I said, you've got to talk to us. Let's just see if we can get you wherever you need to be. And you need to be out there doing consults on the phone, calling your patients, making sure they're doing all right. Because you don't want to now have to rebuild once you come back. You need to get out there. So I think one of the things that we've really been doing is you've got to be really honest with yourself and sit down and put a plan together. Where is your business now? What holes do you have? It's not time to, like when you go to a mix or something and you ask someone, how are we doing? Everybody's got their peacock feathers out. Oh, we're doing great. Our business, we're doing $1 million. And then the next month you go, where's Pete? Oh, he went out of business. You go, what? I thought he was doing great, because we're not honest with ourselves. So we even set a plan down to that. Like at first it was, okay, we got to cancel our water. We got to cancel our delivery. We got to cancel our cleaning crew, all that kind of stuff, because I'm the only one at the office. So we had to bring that stuff down. But now, what if it goes another 3 months? Well, we might need to do this, this, and this. What if it goes another 6 months? Well, we might have to get rid of this employee and this employee. But we have it all mapped out exactly who, why, and where that we're going to do each part of it, so that we don't end up going, oh, wow, it's happened. Now what do? We don't want to get caught with our pants down,
so to speak. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you have to have a plan and be realistic for sure, but you do also have to look at that. So you talk about stress testing a business. What do you mean by that?
So you just sit down and you figure out everything that you have coming in, going out, all your liabilities. It's almost like something you do with your CPA. You lay everything out, but then you even go to the next step and go, who are my best vendors? Okay, are they recession proof? If I order something, are they going to be able to deliver? Look at Apple,
Yeah.
And you got to, and then I even looked at our CPA, our attorney, our financial planners, and go, are they going to make it? Because they're saying right now, don't even stick with regional banks, because regional banks might be going under, and move to the big guys like the ones that the government will bail out if things get bad. But you need to go through every little thing and then poke holes everywhere you can through your business and go, we have a major weak point here. How are we going to strengthen that? And then the biggest thing is really get on and serve your client. Double down on your client service right now, because you're really not everybody's going out, like you said, and selling and finding new clients like we used to. But we've got to keep the clients that we have and really double down on them.
Yeah, we actually had Jamie Troll on here a couple of episodes ago, and she gave us a download. I'll send it to you too, but you can download. She's got a nice little. She's a CPA. She's got a nice little link, and you can download her worksheet for like looking at all those things in your business, like all of those expenses. Now, the second layer you put on it, which is even further than that, which is but if it's in front of you, you can start thinking through that whole process. And she does have a nice little thing for that. So that's awesome. Because
a vendor can hurt you as bad as, a bad review or anything, and then take the time, if you have time, instead of watching Netflix, like everybody says, don't sit there and watch that. Start going through and seeing, how can I strengthen my business? What's the weak points in my business? Because now we have some time. We're having clients call us and go, I've been putting my website off for years. I want to get it going now, because I don't have anything to do, because I can't show real estate or I can't do this right now. So I'm going to use my time wisely, and just saying, instead of saying, hey, I got a vacation, it's not like a snow day. It's something we need to strengthen. Or if you wanted to write a book or whatever it is, this is the time to take that time and really sit down and do it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great point you're making there too, because we do have a lot of opportunity right now for time, for some people do. So anyway, if you're here and you're watching, make sure you definitely leave your name and where you're from in the comments, so that we can comment with you, because I can actually get your questions through StreamYard or thoughts on this. So if you have any thoughts or resources that you would like to share about how this is working for you, we'd love to hear it too. Yep. I should have said that at the beginning. I really am gonna, hopefully somebody will let me know you're here. Let me know you're here. So we don't think we're just talking to each other, although we're happy to do that too. Exactly. So I wanted to talk a little bit too about finding, like you were talking, solving your customers' problems. I'm going to go back to that for just a minute and kind of dig into that just a little deeper. You're literally getting on the phone, like for no money, and just talking through all of their problems. So can you kind of run me through what something like that would sound like? Maybe we can talk about something.
Sure. Well,
say you call me up, Roland, to help me out with my business. Ask me some questions.
So I really just go through and say because if you look at it, the bigger problems you solve, the more money they're willing to pay. And so as long as you can go through and start really looking at and say, what are you hurting right now? Because a lot of times people will go totally different. They might be hurting. Like I had a guy the other day, it said, I went through one of my calls, and he goes, man, and I thought he was super strong. And he goes, my mindset has been so bad, I can hardly run my business. And I'm going, wow, this is a guy that lives in a big house, has car, I mean, he's not just like a teenage kid worried about his first prom date. He is really struggling. So we went through his mindset and worked through it. And he goes, wow, I can really see what I've been doing with myself. So that was one part. And then I had another client that came in and they were having a hard time holding on to clients because they were just dumping projects. So I said, we got to get on the phone with every one of them and find out why are they dumping the projects? Because sometimes it's something you can say, well, what if we did this? What if I did that? And start serving him that way. And so it's just finding out each part of what someone did. So I sat down and said, my job is to see beyond today and prepare my clients for tomorrow. And then I wrote 25 things that I'm really good at that I can help them with. Everything, like I've lived a debt-free life for 15 years. I've paid my house, cars, and I won't ever borrow another dime as long as I live. So I can help them with that if I need to.
That's a really good advice. So like just sit down with a piece of paper and write down all the different ways that you have excelled in something in your life that you could help others, even if it isn't completely 100% related to your business.
Yes. In fact, I read a story years ago in a doctor's office. He had one of those magazines that were like 10 years old. And it was about an insurance guy, and he was really struggling to build his business because he was just starting out selling insurance. So he found a magazine that he read. It was called Turkey Producers National or something. So he decided to become the exclusive insurance guys for turkey farmers, because he found turkey farmers had tons of money and had lots of liability. So what he did is he put a Rolodex together of roofers, barn builders, feeders, tractors, repairmen, and everything. And he became that Rolodex. So when anybody needed something, they'd call Fred and say, hey, Fred, my tractor broke down. You said you had someone. Yeah, I have Bill. Why don't I set a luncheon and we'll meet together? And then he became the largest producer of insurance because he just became a connector. He started connecting people. So I've been doing that too. When I'm talking to someone, they said, man, I'm struggling here. I said, I have a good client. Let's get on the phone with him right now. And I think he can help you out. In fact, we have a company here called Dixie Flag, and they build massive American flags, and the banners you see that say "Go Spurs Go" that hang on the side of a building.
Oh yeah. I know
the big, giant ones that hardly any. They print that, so no one's doing that now. So they teamed up with one of our clients, which is a laundry company that makes sheets and stuff, and now they're making gowns. And then they went to Lighthouse for the Blind. Lighthouse
for PPE. You're talking about for healthcare, medical, right?
Yes.
Gowns.
Yes, gowns. So they used to make flags. Now they're sewing gowns. Our guys used to make sheets. They're sending the fabric to them, and the Lighthouse for the Blind is putting pieces together for him. So they took 3 companies here in town, 1 nonprofit, 2 for-profit, and flipped it on its head. And now they've teamed together. So you need to look at other businesses that maybe you can team together with.
Yeah, collaboration is really important right now too. I think that's really true because somebody else may have some pieces that you don't. So, for example, I've been doing public relations for, oh gosh, I don't want to tell you, but my company's been open for 18 years, but public relations I've been doing longer, let's just say, a lot longer. And so one of the things I don't do anymore though is media relations. I don't really reach out to the media. I don't do that. Our business is really centered in on social media, but some of my clients need some media help. So I have brought in this really great person from London. She's amazing with international media relations. And she and I are doing some work together. So we actually brought in a new client just this week with that work. So that's the kind of thing that you want to think about is how can you kind of expand your services if you need to, like if there's a piece that's missing. And I do think that it's important to pivot a little bit. I told you that I did that with one of my healthcare clients. They don't really exactly need what we had scoped out. So I could lay fallow and not do anything with them, or I could get in the middle of it and start helping them, and they can see the other things I can help them with too. I think that's really important to remember that. And that's the other reason why you can't disappear, because you have to be at the top of mind. Right. I mean, I'm doing it through these live streams. You don't have to live stream. You're doing it by and you're doing live streams too, but you got to get on a calls and talk to people. And it's just like your mall situation, right? So if you are afraid of that, I guess, maybe that's the thing to do now.
The big thing. I did a couple of I've done a lot of Facebook lives, but at first, my first one was the camera was sideways. I had dripped something on my shirt, rain, and it got the more views than any of them, but you just have to keep, and now I get better and better and better and better. But I think 4, maybe 10 people saw it. So 10 people might think I'm an idiot. Well, big deal. There's 10 million people out there that
Mhm.
will catch on as I get better and better. And if you go back and look at Simon Sinek or any of those guys when they first started out, you go, wow, how did they ever make it? Now they're superstars.
No, I mean, I think that's really important to like kind of just keep doing something. The more you practice, the better you get at it.
Yeah,
It's just the kind of the nature of the beast. And I think especially with speaking publicly, that's a huge part of it. The huge
yeah,
part of it is just doing it and doing it
just doing
again
it.
and doing
And
it again and
yeah,
doing it again. But also, I think that there's a lot of things that we're looking at in our business and looking at it the wrong way. So you were talking about just pushing through and making changes and little tweaks. As you know, because I've talked about it incessantly, I'm launching my new Smart Social Secrets course.
yeah,
I'm launching that
that's
this
exciting.
week.
That's right.
So, but we had intended to launch it in May 4th from the very beginning. But I was probably going to actually launch it that day, like launch the first opening cart and sales and all that. But actually, May 4th is now the first delivery date. So when we came into this season, I moved my entire launch up because I feel like people need a really strong plan for how to use social media effectively, especially right now because everybody's on social media. You've got 30% lift in
Right.
people on social media. You've got rock bottom prices for Facebook ads. So my question is, if you're struggling as a business, now is the time to get there. I went to my favorite little restaurant here that's nearby, Ginger Thai, and I asked them, hey, do you guys have any social media presence? They don't. So I was like, ooh, those are the kinds of businesses that need to be online
Yeah,
right now, especially a restaurant. It's a
yeah,
really great way for them to connect with their communities. And so and Smart Social Secrets all about that, how to find, build, and grow your online community without the big brand prices. I mean, that's really sort of our, if you will, tagline. So I was like, well, I can't sit back and think, well, I'll just push back the launch, which was really tempting. I have to be honest. It's that feeling of like, people are not going to be super, excited about paying a lot of money right now for something. But I came up with some good things that I've thrown in, including right now what we're going to do. And this came from our group, Roland. Having you guys to work with as I've gone through all these things has been really, really important. And so what I'm going to do for the launch is I'm going to actually add a BOGO. So I want people to be able to share the cost if they want to. So,
mm,
for every one ticket, two people can come in. That's
wow,
basically the deal. So you can bring an employee in, like say you want to get an employee in there to get them up to the next level because you might want them to run your social media for you.
yeah,
So you guys could go through it together. You could bring in a spouse if you wanted to. You could bring in a friend that's going to be an accountability partner for you, which is kind of what we've been. These
sure,
accountability partners are really important. And then, hey, if you could split the cost if you want. And hey, if you're in a great position where you have the money, it's not that much, but it's $697 for the course. But if you have the money and it's not a big deal to you to spend it, why not gift it to a nonprofit or some other business that's struggling right now that needs to come in and then
yeah,
work together with them through the process, or a client if that's your thing. So I feel like there's a lot of ways that people can use this BOGO, and it's all about community. So
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
I like it. I like it
I think
because
it's
it's like
great.
you can come in and it's all about having a community. As soon as you walk in through the door, you have somebody beside you that you've chosen to bring along with you that you can do it with them. So that's sort of that made me feel good about it, I guess is
Right.
the right way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think people need to realize that you need to get a support team around you. It's just like my son went through AAA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and I think he would have been dead by now if he wouldn't have the group to work with him and have someone that
Mm-hmm.
knows what he's going through. But you got to be careful who you pick. If you pick someone that's negative, because there's been
Mm-hmm.
people in my life that I just don't hang out with anymore because they just tear you down. They're always talking. I have one guy that always says, "Now I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but do you hear about Fred?" And I go, "No, I didn't want. I didn't want to know about Fred. You just told me you didn't talk about people." So I had to eliminate a lot of people out of my life right now, so I can just focus on my head. But then I bring other people in, will fill those spots that want to have that lift too. Just like our group, we're able to build each other up, but we're able to get on
Mm-hmm.
if we have an idea, we can say, no, that's not a good idea. Or what if you did this or that? So I think that's very important to build a support team around you, but not people that are going to, what do they call them? Disable you or disablers,
Well,
but
yeah.
to take you up. And you don't want your mom to sound how great you are. And you go, even though you're doing stupid stuff, oh, you're so great. You want to have people that are going to hold your feet to the fire also.
Yeah, because I mean, you do have to have somebody that's going to say, "Hey, well, have you thought about this, or have you thought
Yeah.
about that?" So
Yeah.
I totally agree with that because I feel like that's something that a lot of people won't do. They won't because they're a little bit nervous about making a mistake and saying something to you, and then you not liking them or something.
Yes. Yes.
Sammy said something really good. I'm going to pull this up. He
Okay.
said, "People forget that good content will always supersede perfect video." Yes, that is so true, Sammy.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It is true. I mean,
And
but
sometimes the
believe
work,
me, if you
and
don't have
sometimes the
perfect
work,
videos, they'll tell you too.
yeah, they will. Yeah, because I get in trouble by my staff all the time because I'll post stuff at midnight and the typos and stuff. So I get people correcting my spelling all the time. But at first it bothered me a lot. Now it's just okay. Well, I should have checked that before. But I think what Sammy's saying is the sometimes the worst videos get the most views. Sometimes I'll put out a perfect video I feel is perfect. I get hardly any. Then I'll put something out. I said, man, I shouldn't have put that out. It's so horrible. And then I'll get more comments off that because the more real you are, I think is the better.
No, I totally agree with that. And I think that, you've got to just you've got to be honest about like who you are. And people can tell if you're like making stuff up or if it's very polished. I
Right.
think sometimes if you're very polished, it can be worse
Yeah.
because if you're very polished, it shows that you're plastic and you're trying to like sell something or you're trying to get over on somebody. So I feel like, people can sense if you're just trying to give, or you're trying to, make sure that they succeed rather than just talking about how great you are, which I think is the only real rule of video in my mind is don't get on and talk about how great you are. That's, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
maybe my only real rule
Right.
for me anyway.
Exactly. But in
So,
closing, I would say just
yeah.
don't go dark. Get out there. Just do what you can do and put yourself out a little bit. You don't because sometimes if you take too big of a leap, you might crash. But just do those baby steps every day to keep you up and keep you going, and get a support team, and then just start crushing it. Because there's these times, if you look at the Rockefellers and all those people, this is the time people just rise out of the ashes and really go big. I mean, there's some preachers in our town that are starting to do mass, or not mass, but they're starting to do their stuff in the parking lot. They're having bands come out in the parking lot. Everybody stays in their car, but they're getting known, which they were just a little church before, and now they're making big impact because they're thinking outside the box, and they're not doing it to get known. They're getting to know that they want to serve their people because they know their people are hurting at this time. But in the meantime, they're going to be taken at a different level.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great place to end. And I want to thank all of you who are here. And Christine said hi on LinkedIn. I can't see those in the back end of StreamYard, but hi, Christine. And thanks, Sammy, for sticking with us. And Kyle, hey, there it is. Let me just do one more with Kyle because this is a great one.
Okay, good.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with imperfect video. It shows authenticity. Yeah, see, that's authenticity. All right. And folks can tell if you're authentic or not. When
Yeah.
something looks too good to be true, it typically is. You're so right, Kyle. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's so
great.
true. So
Yeah.
I think people just don't get over that. People want to be perfect. And so they don't do it. They don't do it. And I'll say I fall in that camp too sometimes. It's like a feeling of when I have my makeup on, I'm like, oh, I'm busy, I'm trying to get some stuff done, and then you just don't. And I think that that's something that we can all talk ourselves out of doing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
that's the
Simon.
easiest thing. And especially at home, if you're not a person who's used to working at home, um, I understand that this
Yeah.
time it's really hard. I've been working at home since 2002, and so I've been through all of it. Like the eating, the all of it, guys. If you have anything that you've been through, like right now, promise you, I've been through there, just trying to being sick, like having family members in your space when you're trying to get your work done, all of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I know what you're going through. And so if you have any questions about that or any thoughts, or you just want to laugh and,
That's important.
commiserate, let me know. My
Yeah.
DMs are open. So let me know.
Yeah. I was
Anyway.
listening to Simon Sinek this morning. He said it's your brain's job. He calls it a lizard brain to keep you
Mhm.
safe.
It is.
And so when you say, I don't think I should do that now, I should put it off, I don't feel right, it's your brain trying to keep you safe, but you have to
Mhm.
over program it and just go, no, I'm going to do it. Like, I've been walking 6,000 steps every night. And it was
Mhm.
last night I got home. No, Sunday, I looked down at my watch, my Apple Watch, and I said, I have 85 steps. I have 4 hours. And I said, well, I'm just
The
going to
move.
blow it off. Who cares? And then I go, no, I got to do it. And if I wanted to have done it, I would have stopped doing a lot of I would have opened my mind to say, okay, well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. But as soon as I did it, then I was able to, the next morning I got up and said, oh, I got to do this, this, and this. And I didn't have excuses. It's weird, but it's just that little tweak sometimes.
Yeah, I think tweaks are so important. So, yeah, I mean, I will tell you that's been one of the great joys of this time is that my husband and I have been walking every night,
Mm.
and putting in those steps too. So, very much inspired by, and also we've been talking about steps like constantly in our group for like ever. So, yeah, kind of inspired by that too. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right, guys. I'm gonna wrap this up because I could talk to Roland forever. He's fun for me to talk to. So, Roland, tell us where we can get in touch with you and where people can find you. You're talking about all these things you're doing, and
Sure.
how do people find where to find out you're doing these things?
Yeah. So if you'll go to Roland, Roland at fuelingyourgrowth.com, fuelingyourgrowth.com. In fact, tomorrow I have a workshop that it's free to everybody. It's my way to give back. It's at 10:30. If you'll just go in, there's a little form, fill it out. I'll send you the Zoom link. And there's no selling, there's no upselling, there's no funnel, there's no nothing. Just really getting business owners. It's our second one, getting business owners together and really diving deep into stuff that we can help you out with.
Yes. And P.S. Kyle is the one that I've been wanting to introduce you to.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
Kyle,
Yes.
get in touch with Roland because this is who I've wanted you guys to talk to. He's in the military and he's helped me out a lot with our Communities That Convert group. Great with community building. So
good. And my cousin just retired last week as what did he get? A 4-star or 3-star? So
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So military runs deep in the of love I have for the military is amazing.
Yeah. And you wanted to help some military business owners too. That was some of the stuff you were talking about before all of this came down. So awesome. Yeah. Good job. He said, we'll do. He's on it.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Good. So I'd been meaning to tell him that. So yeah, I'm going to put your email in the comments and I will do that over here also on in LinkedIn. So send an email to Roland and he will put you on his list to get into his Zoom classes. I think it's like 20. How many people can you get in there?
Oh, 100 or so.
That's good.
Yeah. We're trying to get 25 new people a week to join and to share it and to, because there's been some, what was fascinating, just real quick, I know we're over time, but I had the problem. I always felt like, even though I've been in business 35 years and stuff, I always felt there's someone that knows more than I do and they're going to call me on it. And I had that imposter syndrome like that. So I invited these people that I thought were like, they're already public speakers. They're high in the government here. They run the colleges and they were in there. And afterwards they emailed me. That was fast. I never even heard of half that stuff. And so I went, holy cow. It was such a confidence builder, but it was like all the stuff that I made up in my head was not true. And even these people were getting in there that had more experience than I thought I did and were asking me questions. So don't take what you have as nothing. You have something that no one else knows, and you can offer that to people because there's always people that are out there looking and wanting to be more and more educated. I'm surprised I listen to so much stuff, almost too much stuff, and I'm always learning something. Even after 35 years in marketing, someone will say something like, "Oh, holy cow, that is amazing. I can't believe I didn't know that." And so there's always something to learn, and you're the one that can teach them. And this is the time to teach. So if you want to do something like what Tammy's doing, just start doing it and see what happens. Like yesterday I was down because I only had 3 people sign up, and now a whole bunch more people signed up today. But I was going, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I should just stick at what I'm good at. I mean, I'm 60. I'm going to be retiring in 10 years. Why am I beating myself up over this? It's stupid. But then this morning I come in, I get to do this. I get a whole bunch of emails of people to join. Then I can see.
No, it's true. I mean, it's like these confidence boosters, right? I mean, we all are going through this. Me too. I mean, I'm going through this launch stuff right now, and I am found myself yesterday almost paralyzed from just the number of tasks. So I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that where you just have so much to do that you can't quite grasp where you should go first. I'm all into like the 3 things a day. I'm very organized. Roland knows this. I'm very organized. I'm going to do this and this and this. But even if you're like that, you can get overwhelmed by some of this stuff. So, I mean, I've got 3 kids in homeschool, not, trying to figure out like which one's not doing what they're supposed to. And like, I'm working hard and and then you get frozen sometimes.
Yes.
And so just do it again. Get up another day and go again, and then do it. So I feel like just don't let this weigh you down. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's just where my message is right now, is that, we all have to move forward one foot at a time, and things are going to happen. I mean, people are going to get sick that you love. And I said it publicly, but my husband's mother died last weekend. So we've
Mm.
had like, and not from COVID, from old age, but she lives in Belgium, so we can't go. We
Oh,
can't be
wow.
with them. So it's like, things are going to happen.
Yes.
We're all going through things
Yeah.
right now. And so if you're going through something, just my heart goes out to you, because I know there's so much depression and stress and anxiety and all of that. But there is a way out of that. And Marie Forleo has a book called Everything is Figure Outable that came
Yeah.
out right before this crisis. Not an accident. So if you're feeling like that, this book is like a cheerleader on steroids. I highly recommend her book. I can find that link and give it to you. But everything is figure outable, people. I
Yeah.
mean, everything. And she has some examples of people that their lives were twice as bad as anything anybody's going through right now.
Well,
People
yeah.
that,
And if you're feeling down, like you're saying, there's a guy, I can't remember his name. I think it's Nick, but his book's called No Arms, No Legs, No Problems. And he has no arms or no legs. And they said, you're never going to get married. He's married. He has 4 kids. He's a multimillionaire. He plays tennis. He swims. He's scuba dive. Everything that everybody said you can't do it. And then he goes out and does it. And he has some YouTube videos that just, if you ever feel down, just watch that. You don't feel sorry for him. You get chills and goosebumps of what he's accomplished and what he has you accomplished. So sometimes you need that lift. And if you can't get it from people around you, YouTube's a great place. Just don't get caught up in the cat videos. But YouTube's a great place to go and just put no arms, no legs, no problems, and you will fall in love with this guy. He is incredible of what he's accomplished in his life. I can never get enough of him. I get goosebumps. I even cry during some of his videos because they're so moving of what he's accomplished in his life. So,
yeah.
and he had no reason to live. I would think if I was him, I probably I don't know if I could have made the strides he did, but I sit there and complain. You go to Starbucks and people will be complaining because they got too much foam on their coffee. And this guy's just, chugging along with no arms or legs. It's just incredible.
Well, and it's funny because actually one of the things Marie says, which is interesting, is that you should go find somebody who has your problems that you think you have, and that has become successful.
Yes.
Like, there's so many examples of people that have become successful that had problems like yours, or even worse problems than yours. So I think that is a really good thought too. I would love to read his book though. That sounds like a really, really
Yeah,
fantastic book.
just watch it and watch some of them with your kids. He speaks to a lot of kids, and these kids are just astounded by him. And he's clean, he's good. He doesn't
Good.
try to be like Gary Vee, to use the F word. He never does any of that stuff. He's just very focused on what he does. But I think what you were saying is that, like, because I look at me, I was dyslexic, but also Richard Branson was dyslexic. But Richard Branson's a billionaire, and I am not a billionaire. And what I saw when I really looked at that, I said, why is that? Because when I was told I was retarded, someone came to our house and wanted to take me away to teach me how to sharpen lawnmower blades so I could support a family. I bought into all that stuff for a long time. Reading Richard Branson's story, he said, I'm dyslexic. I'm going to have other people do my work.
Yeah.
And so he had
So
totally different
smart.
mindset than I did. But
Yes.
my mindset kept me where I'm at. His mindset took him here. So it was just a little tiny word that he said, oh, I could do this. And I said, oh, I can't do this. And it killed me forever. And for him, it took him to the top.
Yeah, it's so good. And I think what you just said is great, is that little shift, and also reaching out and having somebody take your weakness and do it for you. I don't think that's wrong.
Oh,
Um,
no.
and even if you can do it. So like, I felt like last week I knew I need to get my Facebook advertising running. I know how to run Facebook ads. I have no problem with that. But I had no time for it. Like, I was trying to get everything done. And then I was on, actually I had Todd Giantasio on here, and his team does Facebook advertising too. I said, Todd, afterwards, I said, you know what? Do you guys have the bandwidth right now to run my Facebook ads? He goes, absolutely. And I'm like, hired. And so like, we just did it. Like, so we've started to put that together in like the last 3 days. I'm like,
That's right.
here, take it,
Yeah. Yeah.
go. And, so I just feel like we also are just so penny wise and pound foolish, as my
Oh,
grandfather would say,
yeah,
is that, we try to like hold on to things so tightly that sometimes if you have to let go of some things in order to get more back. I know
yeah,
it's a spiritual principle in large part, but it's this idea of, sowing and reaping, but
yeah.
it's this idea that you can't hold on to all your stuff
Yeah,
so
it's like,
tightly.
yeah, it's me and my lawnmower. I keep
Mhm.
saying, my wife, we live on 20 acres, and
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
took me 3.5, 4 hours to mow just the front because it was so thick. And my wife says, we could hire someone, they could do it like in an hour with a big tractor. And I'm going, why would I pay someone? I have a freaking $5,000 lawnmower. What am I going to do with, you know? And so I'm out there, and I still have like another 4 hours to mow on the other
Isn't there
part.
like a teenager that's bored that can do it for
Exactly.
like
I
$10?
know.
20,
I
I mean,
know. But then,
$12 an hour,
yeah,
$15 an hour?
but it just goes back to what you
You
were
use your
saying.
big lawnmower. I'm just saying. They would probably enjoy it. It would be fun.
It would, but that goes back to what you're saying. I'm stepping over dollars to get a dime sometimes, but
Yeah,
it
we
is
do.
true. It is true. You have to delegate what you can.
Right. And right now, especially. So, and people need work. And so if you
Yes.
can help to bring the economy back online, not such a bad thing, just saying.
No, exactly.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, all right, we could talk forever. So
Yes.
guys, thank you so much. I'll be back here on Thursday at 8:15 with Chris Brogan. And if you may or may not know who Chris Brogan is, but we're going to be talking about storytelling. He's
Mm.
amazing. He's been in the social media realm on blogging and stuff for years. Like he and I started back together way back in 2005, and he went on to be a huge keynote speaker. And I think you guys are going to enjoy him a lot. He's going to
Yeah.
talk
I
about
look forward to
storytelling
that.
and how to do
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
Yeah. Storytelling is powerful.
Mhm.
I'm looking. I'll get in on that one.
Yeah, you're good at that too. So, anyway, let's just everybody have a great day, and let me know if you have anything that's like kind of banging around your head. People have been sending me emails, DMs. I'm here. I'm like answering them, even though I'm in a launch. It's okay. I'll answer your questions. And I also put in the chat the link to the master classes. I'm doing 2 master classes in the next week, one on this Friday and one the following Friday, really about how to get your message under control, find your right audience. It's a lot of what we've been talking about here, but putting it into a package for you. So I do have the course that does cost money, but these are totally free and you can come to them. And then we will obviously let you have the offer for the course if you want it there, but these are free. And even if you just do these, the content themselves are really powerful. It should
Right.
change your business. So,
But yeah,
um,
take time and get into Cammie's theme, because I've spent last 2 years, I've spent $50,000 just on courses. I didn't go to college, so I figured that's my college thing. But I've learned so much. Not you can pinpoint, because when I went to college, I had to learn English, which I hated. I had to learn math, which I hated. I've never even used it. I have a calculator and I have Siri as my thing. How do I spell, Mexican food? And it'll tell me. But take the time to go through this with Cammie, and when you come out the other side, right now you can start building that online. Because one thing that I was listening to last night with Simon Sinek is he said you need to have, no, it was Richard Brinson, the funnel guy. He was saying you need to look at 5 or 6 ways to bring streams in. Because what if Mark Zuckerberg wakes up tomorrow and goes, I'm going to turn my thing into a Mexican music station, and we're closing everything down. And if you're just in Facebook, everything closes down. But what Tammy's going to show you is other stuff that you can be social with, and that's how you're going to bring it in. It's just like right now, we can't go out and meet with people like we used to. So social is the only way I'm getting people right now. Is getting out on social media and stuff. So this is six or $700, whatever it is. It's cheap compared to what you're going to be able to gain back from it. I know the money I've spent, I've made over and over and over again, because I've taken that time to get online and get educated with it. So it's worth that edge. It's the time to get online and get educated online.
yeah, and I've spent a lot of money too. I mean, maybe not quite that much, but like quite a lot.
Yeah,
Definitely, 30,000 or so
yeah,
on
yeah.
similar things, because I do feel like that's a huge way to get ahead. I don't say you have to spend that much though. I
Sure.
didn't at first. I've kind of worked up to that over time. But
Yeah, yeah, me
these
too.
are the 2 courses. It's using social media to connect with your ideal customers, and how to use social media to quickly pivot your business. So these 2 are coming up, and you can just sign up for them. They're free, and then of course, I'll be really thrilled to help you, and honored if you would join on this journey with me. So
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
exciting
All right.
times. Thank you so much. This was
Thanks.
awesome. And
Yeah.
again, we could do like a Tony Robbins 26-hour marathon.
No, we're not going to do that. Okay. We're out here now, guys. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.